All right, welcome back to Pickleballmuse. This is episode 6 now. We have a very special guest with us today. Introduce yourself.
What's up, everyone? This is Brandon Nsekpong, pro pickleball player, commentator, and pickleball coach. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, my name's Cameron.
My name's Penny.
My name is Al.
And my name's Rihanna.
All right, we'll get right into it. All right, Brandon, so some of your academic accomplishments include being a member of the Spanish Honor Society and Chess Club and president of the Math Club. I want to know, it's obviously very important to you to keep your brain sharp. I want to know how important you think that relates onto the court as well.
Dude, I haven't heard chess club in a while. That makes me feel good. That's back in my high school and college days. Now academics. So my dad was a teacher. He was big on academics. Math and science were things that he taught. And for me, I just was always challenged to excel in those. I think one of the reasons why I love pickleball so much is it's so similar to chess. It's a thinking game. It isn't simply just a skill based or an athletic based game. There's a lot of like tactical and complex strategy involved, and it's almost never ending. So that's something that I think has drawn me to it a lot, and probably something that when I got into the game, I already naturally had a feel for it, just because I was, from an academic standpoint, just always pursuing things at the highest level.
All right. So, would you think that it would be a great idea for pickleball to be introduced into schools and colleges and high schools like that? Because I know you're one of the first people to have ever said that. I think like pickleball is very strategic and almost like chess. I've never even heard anyone compare it to chess.
I think so. I think there's a push right now to get it into colleges as like a collegiate sport. I would argue that even earlier, if they can get it into middle schools, high schools, I think it would be a great value add, especially if they had, teachers that would talk about the cross between the academics and the strategy and the actual game. Because kids are having a good time. They're moving around. There's so much science around being active and how that stimulates your brain. So I think it would be a great idea. There's also science behind the fact that their minds will stay sharper longer if they play racket sports. Really any type of racket sport for kids growing up, I think is awesome. It's similar to the model that I followed before I knew it was a thing, and I think it works.
Yeah.
Tell me about D3 basketball. Not many pickleball players can say they played basketball competitively in their past.
D3 basketball was a grind for sure. So I actually played ping pong and tennis at a very young age, and then there was this, the middle part before I played pickleball was all basketball. So like I loved it, grew up watching it. Favorite player Kobe Bryant. So like I was all in, and I felt like I was gonna go to the NBA at some point. I was working on my shot in the summer. Like I was that guy, And so when it came time to go to college, I had a bunch of D3 and D2 scholarship letters, and I ended up going to Concordia University, which was in Austin, not knowing that Austin would be the perfect place for me 10, 20, 15 years later. But D3 basketball, man, I respectfully bowed out. It was a grind, man. Like the first year was great. You go in there, you're working hard, you're ready to do whatever they say. There's like 3-a-days. They're managing your meals. I mean, they're literally over your entire life. And then by the time, year 2 or year 3 came, the ROI just wasn't there for me. I mean, I was spending so much time on the basketball court. I was only playing, a few minutes each game. And, I had to work, I had to work to make a living. I had to work to pay for school. So I had to kind of exit that route. But the relationships, the hard work, the discipline, yeah, I loved all of that. I loved all of it.
Great. Would you say your basketball skills give you any advantages on the pickleball court?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely from when you see people that ernie a lot or I would say like jump super high for overheads. I think just the lateral movement, it's similar to defensive slides. It is, the, I would say the fitness part of it translates well. The hand-eye coordination is something totally different, but as far as just movement on the court, I think basketball players get to pickleball and they just feel like, man, I could, jump over the net, or I could cover the entire court without doing anything. And I think that part is an advantage for sure.
So pickleball players are getting younger and younger, and we know that you have 2 young children of your own. So do they enjoy the sport as much as you do, or have you introduced them to it at all?
Oh, this is their favorite sport, of course. I mean, they don't have no. So my youngest daughter, she just turned 1. We've got a picture of her with the paddle. She was playing with it. I like that, she took some kind of interest into it at the time, but who knows, right? She's so young. And then, my son just turned 3. He's in and out. Some days he likes to go play. Some days he doesn't. Honestly, I would love if he played, growing up, if he pursued it. But because of kind of like my childhood and the way I was pushed in sports, I just approach it different. I'm more so of the realm where I just want to expose both of them to as many sports as possible. I do think, we talked about academics and pickleball and like racket sports. So I do think there's those foundational sports that they should at least try. Whether they like it or not, they need to at least try it. But if they take a liking to it, I mean, I'd love to take my son to tournaments and travel around and, teach him to be the best and push him and all of that type of stuff. But I'm just also mindful of, kids may change their mind, and so he can be great in anything he does. And so whatever him or my daughter choose to do, I'll support that. I may shed a tear if it's not pickleball, but it's all good.
Well, my second question was, do you see it in their future professionally? But I think you've already answered that.
Yeah. I think also, so it's a unique time. There's not really any other sports that I can think of that you could say, for instance, I have an advantage because I'm, a pro pickleball player. There's not a ton of pro pickleball players, and there's certain, secrets or knowledge about the game that I could teach my son or my daughter at this age. And by the time they're 12 or 13 and the game is exploding even more, they'll inherently have an advantage, right? Like, you can't do that in basketball because everyone's teaching their kid basketball. The blueprint's already out there, or football. So, I do think that is a factor where I may try to push them or steer them towards it a little bit more, but not too much to where they would resent, pickleball or me or anything like that. I'm not focused on those,
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Brandon. So, what inspired you to begin a corporate clinic pickleball business, and what's your favorite aspect of it?
Yeah, good question. I took a look at kind of my specialties when it comes to my personality, and I just took a holistic view of my life and said, like, what are the things that I'm really good at? And it is, inspiring people, motivating people, building community, being a great pickleball player, teaching people skills. And then I also work at Amazon Business as well, so I spend time in corporate America. And so when I looked at all those, I said, I think where pickleball is at right now, I could really carve out a nice little niche when it comes to the corporate clinic space, and do something unique. There's not many people that look like me in the pro pickleball space right now. And so when I put all of those things together, I felt like I could have a unique selling proposition that I think would, really benefit and inspire people. And probably the main thing that I love about it is like watching people's face and reaction after they've learned something they didn't learn before, or they had a really good time. I've seen that a ton. I especially like that in the youth. I've done a couple of youth clinics that were mixed into the corporate side. And just to see them, man, having a good time, not a care in the world. You're forgetting about whatever things are happening at work at the moment. You're exercising, you're having fun. And then I'm able to network with people that, I may or may not be able to rub elbows with if it wasn't for pickleball. There's a lot of CEOs and owners that, on the pickleball court, they're asking me questions, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, do you know who you are? But they're like, do you know who you are? So it's kind of like a nice balance, and I love that.
That's great. We can see you have a true passion for teaching, so I'm sure you get the best of both worlds to be able to, interact with people that way, and also, like you said, network. Um, so moving on to the next question. You developed an app called Hoop Buddy for amateur basketball players. Can you tell us where that idea came from?
Hoop Buddy, man, that's near and dear to my heart. It is absolutely. It's still gonna blow up. It's taken some time when I shifted over to pickleball. But so, are you familiar with the Duper app for pickleball
I am.
at all? Okay, so Duper is it's a universal rating system for pickleball. Essentially, you would score your matches on the app, and it would aggregate all the matches you had. It would give you a rating, and then that rating you would be ranked within the state or within the country, whatever it is. So that is exactly what Hoop Buddy is for basketball. I created that. I mean, I want to say like 5 years ago, maybe 2 years before Duper or something like that. And I just felt like everyone that's in a sport, they're in a sport because they love to compete. Whether or not they want to go pro or not, they do want to compete, and they want to know where they stand. They want to know if they're one of the best or if they're not, right? And so I created Hoop Buddy to be kind of that one central point where anytime you go play one-on-one against someone, no one's watching, it's just you and your friend, and you win or lose, you might want to tell somebody about it, but there's no record. So Hoop Buddy would allow you to create a record of it and put it in there. And so, yeah, I had like 3 or 4 versions of it. It's still alive. It's not being pushed as much because for me, I needed to be in the space to kind of do it, or have somebody that was in the space at the moment. And so when I was playing a ton of pickleball, it got hard for me to organically market it. I think I could have put maybe some capital behind it and, again, added some people to the mix. But, I like to, when I'm branding things, I kind of like to do it from just as organic spot as possible. And since I wasn't playing basketball, it didn't make sense at the time. But it's not over. It's not over. We never know.
All right, understandable. You can catch anybody that's trying to inflate their stats with that kind of thing too. Trying to catch people slipping.
Right.
I might
Yeah.
put
Right.
fake wins in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, there's some mechanisms around like how they can't just create fake wins because the other person has to agree to it. If you did like a 3-on-3, 2 of the other people have to agree that it happened. But yeah, it was one of those that. When I used to play at Lifetime Fitness, I would play basketball all the time there. And, you go in there and people are like, you've never beat me. Like, there's no way you can. And I'm like, bro, I beat you last week. Like, what are you talking about? And so I would always say, like, download the app. So, like, if you want to record it, like, because all we need to do is go to the history and I can see if you beat me or not. So we don't have to have all of this or whatever.
Right. It makes sense. I'm gonna start telling people about it too, because there's a lot of people like doing stuff like that. I beat this type of thing, and there's no.
Thanks, man. That'd be great. Thanks.
All right, and you sort of touched on it, but with the other app, with Gooper, would you consider doing a pickleball version in the future, your own?
Of Hoop Buddy?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So another good question. So I did create an app called Pickleball Buddy. This was right after Hoop Buddy and probably a year or 2 before Duper. And this is because I was playing pickleball. So I said, look, I'm not in the basketball space anymore. Pickleball needs this exact same thing. People want to know where they stand, right? And to me, this applies to any sport. So I never felt limited in if I just create these 2 apps, that's it. Like it could happen in anything. But I created Pickleball Buddy. I put, some money behind it, commercials and all of that stuff. Pickleball was so early that it was hard for it to take off the way that I wanted. I didn't scrap it. I just felt like it was there holding. And then, coincidentally, the people that created Duper actually came to me to create the app for them. And they paid me to do it. So it was kind of a win-win at the time because I wasn't doing much with Pickleball Buddy. So they said, hey, we're going to create something similar, a few differences, but we'd love if we could, give you a nice sum or whatever of capital to build this app for us. And I did that. They ended up using like another version of it, but like version 1 was created by yours truly.
That's awesome. That's a fun fact. Nobody really knows, I guess.
Yeah, they don't. That's behind the scenes for sure.
All
Great.
right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Brandon, for coming on here and talking with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, I've seen some stuff from you guys on Instagram and social media, so I'd say keep it up. Who's the best pickleball player out of the 4?
Oh,
Cameron.
hey, that's debatable.
I don't
We've
know.
had some matches.
I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
what's
Next
He
big
I was
got
gonna
opportunity
say,
is
more
out. That'll be
experience
one.
than me though. He plays more than I do, so that's true.
who does?
Cameron.
Cameron does. Okay.
Cameron
I was
plays.
gonna say when someone else says your name out that you're the best, that's probably somebody you gotta take a look at. If you're saying your own name, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh
You know why
no,
I was
I'm not
hesitant
saying
so
my own
hesitant at
name. I'm saying
first?
I can compete with him. That's what I'm saying.
No, he could.
Before you
He
Well,
could.
go,
man.
also, we have a couple like parting gifts. Thank yous for being on. Truly appreciate it.
Uh,
So we try to do something that's relatable to the people that come on. So you mentioned your kids and how you love to teach and pickleball. So this goes hand in hand. A little paddle set here. So
oh, nice,
you can inspire them and teaching the tricks of the trade. Give them the edge. You get them started.
nice, man. I appreciate that, and yeah, man. Whenever I'm in New Jersey or LA, man, we'll have to connect and get some pickleball in and see how
Definitely.
y'all doing. I think yeah, I don't know. I have to look at tournament schedule. I think I'll be in LA before I'm in New Jersey, but I'll be in both. So.
Got it. And there's also one more thing. It's actually in transit right now. We know you're a big basketball fan, so it's a photograph signed Kevin Durant, Phoenix. So I heard you
Oh,
mention Kevin
nice,
Durant in your
nice.
interview
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
box of yours. So we're gonna send that your way as soon as we have it as well.
Nice, man. Appreciate that. So I don't know if you know, Kevin Durant came down here, was playing pickleball in Austin. Maybe you saw that. Sports Center picked it up, but it was super cool because we were in I get a call from this guy who owns this pickleball facility on a Sunday, and he's like, he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just hanging out at the house." He said, "Would you mind playing pickleball with Kevin Durant?" And I was thinking, like, who asked it like that? Like, who just casually, like, would you mind? I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, we're at. So I went over there. We played. Like, nobody pulled their phone out or anything. I think just out of respect, maybe some out of fear. I don't know. But I was like, look, if I'm going to play pickleball with Kevin Durant, like, there's no way I'm not going to have a video of that. Like, whether I post it or not is at least for me to be like, I just played with Kevin Durant. Like, he's a good player. And so I recorded a couple, and so a few of those were just like Kevin Durant playing with my friends or whatever. Man, I was talking over the entire thing, just shooting it with my friends. Anyway, like 2 days later, Sports Center they're like, hey, can I get that video? And they just posted up, and they got Kevin Durant playing. So he's cool, man. He was cool to chat with and hang out. So I would definitely appreciate that. Thanks for sending it.
Definitely, you're welcome. That's a great story. Great story, man.
I would have put that win on Pickleball Buddies the instance I beat Katie.
I should, right? I should log that in, see if he responds back to that. He probably got some clever response. You know how KD is.
Yeah, definitely. You'll hear from him.
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Just don't leave just yet because it's gonna mess up if you leave before.